going to pass around some copies of this is a board of member code of conduct. There are limited copies. If you don't need to use the paper, then please just share or pass it along, but I'll do it. Thank you. So while we're passing that up, and people can look on the screen as well, the impetus for passing this code of conduct has been really, as Jerry has referenced this morning, a long time coming. I should give a tip of the hat to the VFP UK chapter, because what we on the board did was we looked at code of conducts. Code of conduct, there isn't one in Veterans for Peace. There's not an extensive, there's some policy guidelines that guide member conduct and what is considered to be misconduct, but it does not go into great detail, and it certainly doesn't go into how we treat one another as members. So using the VFP UK Code of Conduct, we as a board went through and adapted and modified it to fit our board culture within VFP United States. And this is an initial step towards our goal of adopting a code of conduct that is more expansive and addresses the entire organization of Veterans for Peace US. What we've done is essentially take that code of conduct, we have incorporated it into the policy as board member policy and board member expectations, which very much expounds what was already in the code of conduct. And I'm gonna go ahead and go through and read, it's one page. This is a living process. So it is our intent for this to be a stepping stone moving forward. We are going to encourage members to discuss the code of conduct as members within their chapters. If there are things you feel are missing, we encourage people to reach out to the board so that we can amend and continue to develop this code so that it works for our organization here in VFP US. So, I should also say that the code of conduct, it's not meant to be punitive. It's not meant to be, you know, you violated this section of this code, so this is what's gonna happen. The intent is to be a positive force for encouraging positive behaviors within our organization, not only as members treat one another, but as we engage with people who agree and who disagree with us in the broader public. With that in mind, item 1 reads, we will use our anger at injustice as a positive, nonviolent force for change. Item 2 goes on to say we will approach every encounter with fellow members and the public with positivity and mindfulness, and with the assumption that concerns raised are coming from a positive place and present a learning opportunity. 3, our attitude is conveyed through our words, symbols, and actions will be one of openness, friendliness, and respect toward all people we encounter. 4, we will not assault verbally in person or online anyone, to include fellow members and those who oppose or disagree with us, even if they assault us. This does not preclude a member's right to defend him or herself against a physical attack. 5, in keeping with our commitment to achieving our goals through nonviolent means, there is an expectation that members will not carry weapons with them to VFP events or while representing VFP, regardless of the laws in their location. 6, we will follow the directions of designated coordinators during public actions organized on behalf of VFP. 7, we will use democratic principles within our organization to ensure an open, fair, inclusive, and transparent environment. 8, we will speak as members of VFP but not for VFP unless designated as a spokesperson for the organization. All members obviously are free to speak for themselves or on behalf of their chapters as appropriate. 9, rank, unit, combat experience, age, gender, race, wealth, education, class, religion, and nationality will carry no status within Veterans for Peace. 10, sexist, racist, homophobic, ageist, and other discriminatory language and actions are common within the military. They are not acceptable within Veterans for Peace. 11, our words and actions will maintain the political and financial independence of Veterans for Peace. And 12, to achieve the above goals, we will also engage in active listening that is fully concentrating on what is being said rather than just passively hearing the message of the speaker. That is a lot in one page. It was our hope to be as inclusive of various dynamics of how we interact with each other and how we interact with the broader community in a way that is easily digestible, thorough, concise, yet covers the broad gamut, which is a hard line to tread. So, fully appreciating that there might be things that people feel are missing, that there's language that maybe is confusing. I guess right now would be a time to take perhaps a stack if people have comments or questions that they would like to share. And I would like to do just a time check as to how long we might allow this conversation to go forward. What's that? Well, let's just see how it goes. We have one member, and in the past, well, I don't know if there are microphones available.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, well, I guess we could do it now. Are there some?
Yeah, okay. Would I have some volunteers to help with microphone distribution?
Well, I think we can have people come up.
Yeah. There will be a microphone stand if anybody has issues that perhaps somebody could assist with sharing microphones. If people would like to come forward, and I guess we can, as we usually do, queue at the microphone stand. Yeah. If you could just begin by introducing yourself, saying your name and chapter.
I'm Ellen Barfield from Baltimore, Chapter 105. Is the mic working?
Yeah.
Okay. Two things, one very small and one bigger. I noticed that you've got various manifestations of nonviolent in the document, some hyphenated, some not. I prefer non-hyphenated, but the standardization is probably a good idea.
Gotcha.
And the second one is item, the next to the last one, I think, is that 11?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I probably could have scrolled while I was reading
That's
them.
okay, just the financial independence. There was a time when I was on the board and working on conventions that we had a policy of not taking big chain corporate money for the convention. I hope that still maintains. Local businesses are welcome to advertise and even vend and all that, but we wanted to stay away from the big folks, and I hope that maintains. And this is touchy, and I'm not trying to resolve it, but USAID was an issue a few years ago. That's a piece of it, too.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for, I don't know if this is on.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
it is on. Thank you, Board, for.
Introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is John Spitzberg from Willow, Alaska. I'm in Chapter 099 and 160. First things, let's be very positive about this. Thank you, Board, for doing this. This is wonderful. But I have to say that there's one thing that seems to me to be missing, and that is a mechanism other than to achieve the above goals we will engage in active listening. There is no mechanism for dealing with issues that arise between yourselves and that I'm aware of and members when in fact all of this cannot be achieved through active listening.
Right.
And so I encourage the board, and I think it prudent that you come up with a mechanism of perhaps mediation. I'm giving you a suggestion,
Yeah.
only that. You do it your way. But a means by which, when there is a dispute, and it is not resolved in this beautiful manner, that it can be, you can help us to do that. Because some of us in this room have been hurt by other members, and they may not fall within the purview of sexism, ageism, and all the other isms that you refer to. And they are yet still issues that pertain to the morale of members. Thank you. I appreciate you listening to me.
Hey, John. So,
Yeah, I can yeah.
I'll respond to that. Thank you so much. So absolutely, there definitely needs to be a mechanism. As a matter of fact, we do have a mechanism. We have a membership committee. The Membership and Chapter Development Committee is designed to take in those requests, and we have a formal complaint process for that. As a matter of fact, the Membership Committee has heard 6 or more of those types of formal complaints the last 3.5 years I've been on the board. So here's the process. You can contact the board, you can contact the president, or you can contact the Membership and Chapter Development Committee. Adrienne's the chair right now. I'm still on the committee. Then we bring it to the Membership Committee. We discuss what we see in the complaint. We contact the person who made the formal complaint. We ask them, do they have an idea for a course of action? We actually contact people who have been accused of those kinds of behaviors. We contact them, and then we do what we call a fact-finding mission. It's not an investigation. We're not a legal body, but it is a fact-finding process. We're just trying to gather the facts about what happened. We contact all the parties involved, and then we make a recommendation to the board of directors. Now, let's be honest, that process has not always been upheld. Unfortunately, that's sometimes how it goes in big organizations like ours. Sometimes we miss things, and it's true. Sometimes we miss things, and we don't get it right. But nevertheless, the Membership Committee has heard formal complaints, and as a matter of fact, we've recommended dismissal of members several times since I've been on the board for very egregious behaviors. So those mechanisms are in place, and I highly encourage you to contact the board or contact the Membership Committee if you want to learn more about that process.
I just very quickly wanted to say something about this too. So one is that this is a volunteer, other than the small staff we have, this is a volunteer organization. So I'm just honestly, things going to move slow. That's just the reality of it, especially when it comes to these hard things. Now, I'm not talking about the sexual harassment stuff, because we definitely got to be on top of that no matter what, and acts of violence and things, right? But I am talking about interpersonal, because this is one of the things in our organization. We have a lot of interpersonal conflicts, people not getting along for political, but really personality reasons. So one of the things I just want to challenge you to do, because that's part of us building community. Maybe I don't have to love you, but I need to be able to get along with you to get things done. I don't even have to like you, but I need to respect you. So what I'm saying is you're going to have to start at your local chapter developing a culture and a process at the local chapter level. Don't look to these people up here to help you get along with each other. That's ridiculous. And it's not going to happen. I'm not talking about when there's something between the board, so don't take this individually personal. Okay, I'm talking about a culture of this organization that I have seen over time. That's what I'm talking about. And in order for it to get better, you're going to have to take responsibility. And if we all do it, then it will create a better relationship between board members and individual people too, because we're all practicing that. So John, please, I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying. You're taking this personal. I'm talking to the whole organization. That's what I'm doing, okay? And we can't personalize everything. We have a challenge. We have a challenge, and we need to work on it. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Gary May, Chapter 104, Evansville. I had a question about item 9, which has disappeared from the screen. Yeah. Item 9 lists what frequently are referred to as protected classes or categories: race, gender, age, sexual orientation. I noticed that disability is missing from that. Is there a specific reason, or was just an oversight again?
Yeah, it definitely was not intentional. And really what this speaks to is when people, this is something a few people have had questions about, what does that mean, carry no status? And what we're saying, obviously people speak to their experiences, which might involve combat experiences, it might involve their experiences in the military based on age, gender, et cetera. What we're saying is that within our organization, members are members are members, and that there are no members who have a superior status compared to other members based on any of these items. So we were trying to be as inclusive, although the wording might seem a bit backwards.
Yeah. I would suggest that perhaps reference to hierarchy might be a better term than status,
Gotcha.
because that sounds like that's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
to make everybody even, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, very good, thank you.
I would also like to add that the board did agree that this would be a living document, so that as the organization progresses and shifts the culture that has existed, the items in this, there are things that can be changed, added to better speak to some of the issues that come up. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did she say added? Adrienne, did Monique say to add this to disability too? That I didn't hear.
We're taking,
I know, but I was asking what she said, what Monique said. Did she say recommend we add that? Oh. Okay. Okay, good.
To answer Barry's question, just so everyone can hear, no, what I was saying is that we as a board had agreed that this would be a living document.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and that, as changes, as members give input and as things shift within VFP, that this document would continue to reflect, the concerns and the issues that come up.
Yeah. I would just comment to say that I think it's a worthwhile, what Gary May pointed out. I suggest that we just add in disability. It doesn't seem to be much of a problem to just add it on.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that.
We have many disabled members, and I think we should recognize that and specifically address it.
That's not actually what the thing was about. So yeah, it's not a matter of being exclusionary, because I myself am also disabled, Monique is disabled, many of us up here are disabled. What the point of that line was to say that we're equal, and that just because somebody has a lot of money or had some high rank or sits on the board doesn't mean anybody's better than anybody. So that's going to be reworded to better reflect that point. It's not a matter of dismissing or not including the narrative that we as disabled people live with. So just to be super clear about that, so there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I guess it started getting into that arena when we started talking about some of the protected classes like gender and race. So it started to conflate the point.
Yes.
So that does need to be rewritten, and that's all.
Yeah.
And maybe those things need to be added in some way.
Right. I appreciate that. And I think that is really what this process right now is about, is getting some initial feedback from members, which we will then definitely take, and as we have said, a living document that is completely amenable. This is a first, well, it's not a first step. This is something VFP's been struggling with for a long time. We're hoping it's, I guess, a more concrete next step in trying to address some of the issues that go on within the dynamics of the organization. Thank you.
Hi. Reese Forbes, Chapter 61, St. Louis. I think this is excellent. I appreciate you all taking your time and effort and doing this. Let's try that. Okay. So I stand up? Attention? It works for me if it works for you. No. All right. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Reese Forbes, Chapter 61, St. Louis, Missouri. This is an excellent document, and I appreciate you doing it. The wording seems just pretty much right on, except it is for all of us, right? Everyone should follow this. And so the only thing I would take out is the word board up here, or board member, because the title seems like it's for the board to follow, as opposed to every Veteran for Peace member.
Right.
So other than that, this is wonderful. It's great. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I would clarify, so the reason right now it's listed as VFP Board of Directors Code of Conduct is we were discussing this and having these discussions as a board. We didn't want to, without getting some member input, make a unilateral decision about what a membership-wide code of conduct should read, which is why that is in there now. This is our step in towards incorporating this as a code of conduct for the organization as a whole.
Michael Kramer, Chapter 21, Northern New Jersey. I think this is an outstanding document, and we're going to use it at our September monthly meeting for discussion, and I agree the board member part should be dropped. And just one addition on number 10, or wherever the board, or whoever's putting it together thinks it's appropriate. Based on our most recent outreach, I would ask that somehow the wording gender, nonconforming, or transphobic be included somewhere. It would be very helpful for us. So once again, thanks to the board for putting this together.
Thank you.
I'm Peter Aronson, Humboldt Bay Chapter 56. I have a mild objection to this whole process, almost a point of order. This is an important testing. This is an important ethics document, and I think it deserves thoughtful consideration by members and chapters. And to me, this is a board proposal for a resolution, whether it be a bylaws or a standard resolution in the ethics section. I think this should be presented as a draft, as it is tonight, and you suggested that members and chapters give input for possible amendments, and it should be submitted as a resolution. Thank you.
Thank
Can I jump in for a second, or do you want? Yeah. So we're not passing this here today. We're not. If that's what you thought, we're presenting this as the beginning of a discussion. So and the next step will be for chapters to discuss it. It's not in the form of a resolution or a bylaw at this point, and we're not asking the body here to adopt it today either. It's the beginning of a discussion.
My point is this has got a lot of important information in it that it deserves a thoughtful consideration.
That's right.
We agree. Yes. We agree.
I agree. Are there any other members present or participants who have any comments or questions? Yes.
Quick question. How will this be distributed to the organization as a whole for consideration?
Yeah. There was a question as to how this is going to be distributed to the membership for conversation and consideration. It was our goal to first pass this as a board of directors because we did have this space to discuss it as a board. It was our intent to present this as a proposal to members during our convention, which is the process we're going through now. The next step would be to make copies available to members and chapters and encourage members and chapters to discuss it at local levels. And what our goal is to make a feedback mechanism which will be shared with members, I'm assuming in an email related to this particular topic and conversation, that would afford members the opportunity to provide feedback. And then take this, as we've said, it's a living document, make amendments. I've already made notes of several things that I think were incredibly good and thoughtful of people to bring forward that can easily, I think, be included and should be included. And then we're still trying to figure out what the best way is for adopting this as an organization. But certainly that's not the stage we're at now. Right now, we're just at the taking input and feedback, and so yes.
Can I add something here? I just want to say, we're going to try and distribute this in many different ways. You can also have this a discussion in Peace in Our Times, and let's get it out there to people so that they can read about it, and then have something in there that tells them where they can go online, and we can discuss that. That would be another way to do it. So I just want people to think about the various ways that we can communicate.
And
we communicate through
VFP
papers, we
website.
communicate through email blasts, we communicate through the website. Thank you.
I'm not sure I made it on the mic, but just a quick thought. This is such a good document. George Taylor, VFP, Chapter 35, Spokane. This is an excellent document. Just a thought as we go through the process, and that is the use of electronic media in both our meetings as chapters and at our national convention. I don't know I haven't thought this through yet, but I found it very distracting when I'm in a movie or a presentation, somebody forgot to turn off their cell phone. In some of our VFP local chapter meetings, we have prohibited the use of bringing our phones into the meeting. And in fact, in one executive session we had, one of our members asked that we leave all our phones outside the room in a basket, which we did in our local chapter. The reason being that you can turn this on, or your smartphone, and you can record stuff that's going on, and you can take pictures of people who don't want their pictures taken. So I think we have to think through, maybe this isn't the document, we have to think through the use of our cell phones and our smartphones and our laptops and all this stuff in our meetings and our movies. One thought would be that we just don't allow them in the meeting.
Thank you. Do I have any other comments or questions regarding this code of conduct as it's been proposed? And again, we would really encourage all members and chapters to take this next step in the process is seriously and give it the time that it really warrants. And please do provide us some feedback so that we can continue moving this process forward. Thank you.